Yeah, so I'll be speaking about how I have built a bot, a voice assistant bot in Power Apps. So that's going to be my topic. Before digging deeper on how I have built it, let me introduce myself. So I'm Mohammed Ashik Falil. I live in Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm a Power Platform architect working for Avanade. And I'm a business applications MVP for the last 3 years. I've been contributing to the community using my blog, which I used to write as and when I've got time with the topics focused on Power Platform. And I've been associated with Microsoft technology for almost 16 years now. And for the last 5 to 6 years, my focus is mainly towards Power Platform. I have almost worked with all the different offerings within Power Platform. Right, so I have given my social handles below. If you want to be connected with me, if you aren't yet, please feel free to give me a connect in LinkedIn or Twitter, so whichever it is comfortable for you. Okay, so this is the agenda. I will start with a short introduction about what I'm gonna speak and why I have built that. And then I'll show you a quick demo. I have recorded a video of the solution. And then I will deep dive on how I have built and designed the solution and what are the different components or services I have used to realize this. And then I'll give you a walkthrough of the solution. Right, so I will then talk about some use cases where you can actually use this solution, followed with question and answers. Right, so at the end, like 5 minutes or so, you can ask me questions. Okay, so the solution what I've built is a voice-enabled bot in Power Apps. It's a low-code solution. I haven't used any code at all, right? So it's using Canvas app and Power Automate Flow, and then I have used Azure OpenAI service, ChatGPT model, and then Azure speech service. I'll talk in detail where I have used for what. Okay, so let's start with a demo. Let me know if short narrative is the voice. Are you able to hear the voice? I would like to confirm it. When 5 lines on how generative AI Microsoft Power Platform can influence. Okay, so perfect. So this is the app. This is the solution, right? So I'm just asking a question to the Canvas the Canvas app. Right, so we are recording the voice using the microphone control. And now what's happened after we asked a question to the bot, it's gonna call a Power Automate flow, right? So you're now gonna see the response.
Generative AI can help modern business.
And here you're not just seeing the response in the text format, you are also getting to listen to what it actually, what the ChatGPT or OpenAI has generated.
Create personalized solutions for their customers.
The question which I've asked, it's now responding back in voice,
The
and as well
integration of
as you're seeing
Microsoft
that
Power
in the text
Platform
format.
with generative AI can empower businesses
Right, so I'm
to
not going
automate
to play this
repetitive
fully, but
tasks,
you
reducing
understood like
errors and
how
increasing productivity.
how the solution
3.
is
The
looks like.
combination of
I will proceed to this slide on how I have built this. Right, so it all starts with a Canvas app. Right, so I actually triggered the microphone control. Right, so I've recorded the voice, which is then sent to the Power Automate flow after I have stopped the recording from the microphone control. And the Power Automate flow, it all orchestrates the magic. Right, so what happens after that is it calls the Azure OpenAI service. Right, so the Azure OpenAI, there are different AI models which is available. For example, if you take ChatGPT, it's a generative model. It generates content, right? And there is a model called as Whisper. So that model is responsible for converting the speech or the audio recorded from the Power Apps microphone control. It's converted to text, right? So it's not just I've spoken English, but it creates a transcription. It converted it to text. It's not that you should always speak in English. You can also speak in other languages. The Whisper model can understand up to 99 languages. And so once we have the audio converted to voice, audio converted to text, and the GPT model, it sparks the magic, right? So it now generates the content, right? So whatever question or whatever we have asked in the Power Apps in the Canvas app microphone control, and now it generates the content using the GPT model. And once we have the generated content in the format of text, it not stops by then, right? So I've used an Azure speech service. So within Azure speech service, so there is a feature which can convert the text to speech, right? So that service is what is converting the text to speech, converting the content generated from the GPT model to speech, which is then played back in the app using the audio control. Right, so this is on a very high level what I have used, but let's go through on a detailed level the different components. Right, so in the Canvas app, I've used these controls, microphone, which you would have noticed during the demo. Right, so the microphone control is responsible for capturing your voice using the microphone control in the format of WebM, right? So it actually, the format of the audio, it depends on where the app is being accessed. If the app is accessed in a web browser, the audio format is WebM. But if you access the same app in an Android phone, the format is going to be different, right? So it generates a 3GP format, and if you access the app in an iPhone, it's a different format, right? So and then we have used the audio control. So that audio control is used to play back the audio generated from the Azure text-to-speech service. So then the next one is the Power Automate flow. This is the one which creates this magic when the recording is done using the microphone control. So it uses a Power Apps trigger so that the flow, Power Automate flow, gets triggered as and when the microphone control is stopped recording. right? So that is the Power Apps. It is the trigger. And then I've used HTTP connector, which is used to call the API endpoints of Azure Whisper model and also the ChatGPT model, which is responsible for generating content. And also I've used the Azure text-to-speech REST API, which converts the generated content from the ChatGPT model to speech. Right. So for all of these three, I've used the HTTP connectors. I'll show you all the components during the walkthrough of the solution. And then I've used Azure OpenAI service. The Whisper model, as I've already said, it can understand up to 99 languages. You can speak a different language. You can speak in Arabic, and it can translate that to English. Yeah, right. And then the GPT, the completions model, which is responsible for generating the content. And then the next service which I've used is Azure speech service. Right. So especially the text-to-speech feature is what it's been used here. I've used the REST API to convert the text to speech. The converted audio or the generated audio is in the WAV format. Right, so let's give some background on where you can use the Whisper API. Right, so it's available in OpenAI. So if you go to openai.com and once you register an account, you get a $5 credit, which you can use it for 3 months. Right, so there is also a pay-as-you-go service. But I haven't used OpenAI in my example, what I'm going to show. I have used Azure OpenAI service, so it comes with this enterprise security. You can do roles, right? So it's not, and you know where exactly the data is actually getting processed in which data center, etc. Right? So you can use the Azure OpenAI service for building or enterprise apps or for apps which you're creating for the organization. So it is a pay-as-you-go model. It is generally available. If you have got an access to an Azure subscription, you can now create Azure OpenAI resource, right? And once that is created, you would be then able to deploy a model using the Whisper API, Whisper model. Right, so the Azure speech service, so it has got a lot of other capabilities, but I have especially used the text-to-speech service. It also has a speech-to-text service as well, right? But I have used the model from OpenAI. Right, so I have accessed the REST API endpoints, which has been used to convert the text to speech. So I'll start giving you a walkthrough of the solution. Right, so I will show you the app. Let me go to another screen. Okay, so the first one is the Canvas app. Right, so here, this is a microphone control. Right, so you can get that from here, microphone. Right, so this is responsible for recording your voice. And then what happens is as soon as the voice is recorded, and you get to start the recording by clicking on this control, and after the control is clicked, the voice gets recorded through the microphone, which is connected to the laptop, if it's accessed in a web browser, or the microphone, which is from the device, from the mobile phones, it's automatically detect and it's been used. Right, so after I've clicked again, it stops recording. Right, and what happens here is when the microphone control stops recording, and I've used this function on stop. Right, so here what happens is, so we are extracting the audio content in base 64 format. So here I'm doing some manipulations to extract exactly the base 64 content, right? So I've already written a blog post which I have linked it to the presentation, which will be sent after the session is over today. Right, so after some manipulations here, the base 64 content after it's been extracted, and what I'm doing here is I'm calling a Power Automate flow, which is registered here, speech to text Power Automate flow. So this has, you can see it has a Power Automate. It has this Power Apps trigger. So that is how we were able to call the Power Automate flow from the Power App. Right. So before that, let me quickly show you the Power Automate flow. So this is that flow. Right. So here it has got two inputs. The first one is audio format. But the reason we are getting the audio format is because, as I've initially said, the format of the audio from the microphone control changes depending on where the app is being accessed. Right, so if you access the app in an Android phone, the format is going to be different, and that is why we need to know the format of the audio. Is it in the WebM format or is it a 3GP format? We are getting that. And then the file content. So this is nothing but the base 64 format, which we are getting it from here, right? So these two variables is what we are passing in while calling the flow, right? So once we have these two details, I've created an array, right, or in a JSON format, the content type, which is the format of the recorded audio, and then the base 64 content. And after that, I have called the API endpoint, which is responsible for converting the audio to text. So this one is is using the Whisper AI model. Right, so here you can see while calling this API, I'm using the API key, right, and then the content type, which is multi-part form data. I have written a blog post on how you can call this, which has been referenced on the presentation. So on here on the body of the content, right, so I have given information on the model name, which is Whisper 1, right, and actually the body, which is output of this compose action, which has the audio format and also the audio content in base 64. Right, so here, and as soon as this HTTP request is made, I would now have the speech or the audio converted to text, which we are getting here on this compose action. Right, and after that, and now we have the audio converted to voice. Sorry, the audio converted to text. And now what's done here is we're calling again a different Azure OpenAI model, which is this ChatGPT completions model, which is responsible for generating content. Right, so whatever we have extracted from this HTTP request, from this OpenAI Whisper API, and that is something which we are calling here. Right, so with this request, and what will now we will have is we will have the generated content right by the ChatGPT model. So we have now the content generated. We are extracting that from here. Right, so after we have extracted, I've used some Power Automate expressions to extract the generated content from the previous HTTP action. Right, and after that, I'm calling the REST API, which is from the Azure speech service. So let me go to Azure speech service. So as I've said, I've used an Azure speech service. I've deployed this one, right? So I've created an Azure speech service. Let's go there, and then let's go to Speech Studio. So here, and whatever keys we have here for the speech service, I'm actually using that in the HTTP request in the Power Automate flow. Right, and let's go to Speech Studio. So here, I have, as I've told, it has the feature which can convert speech to text, similar to OpenAI Whisper model, but I have used Whisper to do that conversion. And what we are interested in is this text to speech. Right, so you can. There is also a possibility of you having your voice instead of the generated, instead of the voice which is available in the gallery. Right, so that is called as custom voice. You'll have to have your own upload your voice and build out a model. Right, so but I've used a voice sample from the gallery. Right, so here there are different voice which you could actually use. Right, so you can play and see if you like the voice.
I've lived enough to find out.
Right, of these different users from the gallery. Right, and what I have used in the flow is a sample called as Jenny. Right, you can see here it's an ENUS Jenny neutral. Right, and whatever content which got generated from this OpenAI ChatGPT model is what has been passed as an input to this variable. Right, so now we have the content right in the XML format, which is then passed to this API endpoint responsible for converting text to speech. We'll have to make a post request and to this endpoint, right? And the subscription key is what we have, which we can get it from the speech service. Right, and then this variable is passed in here as a body. Right, and after that, you would, after this HTTP request is executed, you will have the audio content or the speech content as an output of this HTTP request. Right, and we are doing a small conversion here using the Power Automate expression called as base64. We're converting it to the base64 format. Right, and once that is done, what I'm doing here is the text, right, so which got generated from this HTTP, this called OpenAPI ChatGPT model, that is passed as an output variable, and then the converted audio in base64 format is sent to another variable as an output. right? And these two is something which we are getting after the Power Automate flow is executed. Right, so it is stored in a variable generated content, and I have added a text label. Right, so here the text label, you can see here, I'm passing the I'm getting the audio text, which is one of the output variable from the Power Automate flow. Right, so that is what it's getting displayed on the screen. And then I've added a media control. So this control is responsible for playing the audio. Right, so if you look here, it's very simple. I haven't used any complex expressions. What all which has been done here is right. So I've appended this one with a basic with a string, right? So data and then audio X wave, and then it's always base 64 because it can play only the audio the media control here. Right, the audio control, it can play only base 64 format, and that is why we have converted the generated content from the text to speech, from the Azure text to speech service to base 64 format. Right, so which we are getting it from the output variable audio base 64. Right, and this is how we are playing the audio back in the audio control. Right, so let's quickly, I will show you a flow run. Right, so here you can see the audio format is WebM. It's in WebM, right? And then we have the base 64 content. These two are the input variables, and after that, we are putting in an array format, right? So content type audio WebM, and then content. So these two are we are getting it from the microphone control, and after that, we are calling the whisper model. Right, so if you this is what I have asked from the microphone control. Right, so this is what I have spoke in the microphone control. Hi, how are you? And it got converted automatically from audio to text, right, using the whisper model, which we are extracting using the compose variable. And after that is done, we are calling the ChatGPT model, right, so which generates content. Right, so this is the input. Hi, how are you? And then it gave back a response, which is the output is in a JSON format, and I will have to it's here, right? So this is the generated content. So this is the answer. As an AI language model, I do not have feelings. This is what it responded after I have asked that question. Hi, how are you? Right, and after that we are extracting whatever is required, which is this one, right? As an AI language model, right? So I've extracted that using a Power Automate expression, and after that is done, right? So this is the voice a sample which I've chose from the gallery, along with the content which has to be converted to audio from text. And this is what it's sent to the Azure text-to-speech service, right? And after that, we are converting the output of this HTTP request to base 64, which is sent over to the Power App, both the base 64 format and also the generated text which is displayed on the label. Right, so this is what I have got. I have took only hardly few hours to build the whole solution, right? So imagine the possibilities of this helping the customers, right? So I built this before a year, last year, and it was when the OpenAI Whisper model was made available, and I built it for my kids to listen to stories, right? So I asked the app for a bedtime story, and then it narrates it back. So now let's quickly talk about some use cases. Right, so you can use this solution for translating languages, right? So which can help as an interpretation tool, or helping out communication between users who speak a different language. Right, so it can this application can be used in education and training purposes. Right, so to help students with answers to which they are looking after. Right, and then you can use this type of solution that helps individuals with disabilities by providing them with voice controlled access. Right, so it can also be used in manufacturing industry. For example, if a user working on an industry want to query, ask something to the app, right? They can do so. Right, so we can use this app to query databases, right? So convert the voice to text, and get the again query the database and then respond back with answers. Right, so I have given some references, right? The link to the Azure OpenAI service and also to the blog post which I have written on this topic. Right, so yeah, that is it I have got so far. Any questions so far?
Copilot, I think it will be helpful for these topics, but my question is about the license. Is it require additional license to be used on top of this app, or not? It should be included within a license for Dynamics 365.
No, unfortunately not. You require additional licensing for Copilot, right? So it's about like $200 for 25,000 messages per month.
Okay, $200. Okay,
$200 for 25,000 messages per month.
4 months. Okay.
Yeah, for 1 month. Each month you'll have to pay $200 for 25,000 messages.
Okay, is Copilot available for all regions, or just limited for specific regions?
No, it's available for all regions.
All regions.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you.
Thank you.